I think one issue we're sort of having in the modern West, in my opinion, is wanting to put everything in a silo, disconnecting mental health from physical health, from spiritual health, disconnecting the impact that the economy and politics and religion has on family and relationship dynamics. Everything is in a web. I don't think you can isolate technology, massive factor. And I think people sort of isolate these things. They want to have a conversation just about technology, or just about marriage, or just about politics, or just, and I'm like, yeah, you can separate these things, but they are all interconnected. You can't have a serious conversation about, let's say, male-female relationships and marriage and children and not, not talk about religion, not talk about politics, not talk about the economy and finances, because all of these things, as well as many other things, are all connected together. So where do you give us the state of play of where you think we are in the modern West?
Well, there's that old saying, great men create great times. Great times produce weak men produce strong men produce great times. And I think we go through those cycles. I think we're in the cycle right now of weak men are creating hard times. I think that's kind of where we're at. I think we've forgotten our Christian heritage. I think a lot of people are oblivious to the benefits Christianity has given us and how Western civilization is really just built on the foundation of Christianity. And so Christianity is declining because for many reasons. One of the reasons is the increasing wealth rates. When people prosper, they don't think they need religion. Religion thrives among the poor, among the people that are going through hard times. It's not been historically practiced as much among the elites or the wealthy. So the wealthier and more comfortable societies get, religion tends to decline. And so we're kind of in that phase. America is the most blessed nation that has ever existed on this planet. And so we've become very wealthy, and we're forgetting where we came from and how we got here. We're forgetting our Christian religious heritage. And that's going to have long-term consequences. And I don't think people realize the long-term consequences that will have. I think we are going through that cycle again, where we will enter hard times. But I am hopeful long-term. I think that we will come out of that because we'll produce strong men that will lead us back to more of a Christian heritage, which I think is necessary for our civilization to thrive for various reasons.
What are some of I have ideas about this, but I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on what some of those consequences are going to be, or what they already are, of declining religiosity?
Yeah, I'll give you two to start with. So there was a study done. I've cited it often. It was called National Context, Religiosity and Volunteering, Results from 53 Countries. And they looked at church-going activities and how it affected volunteering. And what they found is that in nations that were more religious, people volunteered for charities more, including secular organizations. So they were not just sweeping the floors of their church. They were going out and they were doing all sorts of types of activities. But it also had a strong spillover effect. So secular individuals in these religious nations tended to do more charity work. But what they also noted is that as nations secularized, religious individuals were still working for charities and doing work. Secular individuals were not anymore. So charity work started to decline. So they say religious volunteering had a strong spillover effect, implying that religious citizens volunteer more for secular organizations. And they also noted that if this secularization process continues, we should see declining levels of people donating money and time to charity. Another one, which I think is probably going to be much harsher that people don't realize, is that humans are religious by nature. When people leave traditional religions, they kind of remain religious. So research shows that atheists are more politically active than Christians or people that are religious. Why? Because when you leave traditional religions, politics often becomes the new God. And so researchers like Roger Brubaker, Philip Gorski have noted that when people leave traditional religions, they tend to just form political religions, or they treat politics as the new God. That has a very dangerous effect. I've argued before that I think Nazism, like actually under Hitler, was a political religion. Political religions tend to lead to more tribalism, more prejudice, even racism. And various papers have shown this. So, we see, for example, that people that are more politically right, when they leave Christianity, they don't just leave Christianity. They leave the intrinsic beliefs, the doctrines, but they take the Christian symbols with them and they just reinvent them in a political ideology and just reuse it in that sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
We see people on the left do this as well, just in a different flavor and a different tone, so to speak. But we tend to see these sort of rises to political religions. And so those can be quite dangerous. They have been historically, and they tend to create more polarization, more dogmatism, even more prejudice towards people that are not like you. Whereas traditional religions like Christianity tend to reduce racism and prejudice. So just in terms of those two things, those are two among many other factors that I could see happening from the decline of religiosity. Other things are like care for the environment is tied to high levels of religiosity. Depression is tied, lower levels of depression is tied to higher levels of religiosity. Violence, aggression, drug abuse, all of these things they tend to reduce when people are more intrinsically religious. But as these are declining, what do we expect is going to happen? Well, we see society becoming more depressed, more lonely, more suicidal, more drug abuse is going skyrocketing at this point. So, I mean, like, what do you think is going to happen?